You're live.
All right, hey guys, welcome to the All Things You podcast. As always, we want to thank Damien for all of his hard work and getting all this ready and doing all this stuff. If y'all do us a favor, if you're watching us, if you'll go ahead and hit that share button and get it out to more people, and so more people can hear this amazing story. So we have Trey White with us, and this is a book that he wrote called Meth the Marathons. And I really, Trey, I like the title, Running from Rock Bottom to Real Life. So, hey, just to start off, tell people how they can purchase this book.
All right, you can check out on it's on Amazon, just Meth to Marathons. Also, if you have a Amazon Kindle, you can get it on. If you have the unlimited, it's free of cost for that. So, yes, sir, you can check it out on them. Or if you are in Vicksburg, you can check it out at Beautiful Deliverance. They have copies up there as well.
All right, guys. So you can see right here, we are on the Amazon. You just go in and just search Trey White, Meth to Marathons, or you can just click the link that's in the description. It is linked in the description no matter which platform you're on right now, except for Kick, because it does not allow it. So anyone else, you can just click that link, or if you want to try to come back and do it later, you can find it right here. You see it's $17.99 for the paperback, and I would suggest you guys jump out there and go get it. Trey, it's good to have you with us, man.
Thank you. Thank y'all for inviting me. And
Damien, I am trying to get I told Trey right before we went live for me to, I said, if you see me looking at my phone, I'm trying to hit Damien's Facebook so I can share it. But
Don't get scared now.
Damien, I got scared because I hit your thing and I saw a picture of a chicken.
Yeah, so that's how I do it, Bubba. Hey, you know what I mean?
So, hey, help me out. Figure out how I can go ahead and share that. So,
We'll get you a chicken.
y'all can tell I am, thank God for Damien, because I'm definitely technology challenged. So, Trey, tell us, hey, first of all, where did you grow up?
I am from Vicksburg, Mississippi. Born and raised there.
Big city.
Big city, the River City, or the Windy City, if you want to call it that. I grew up from the 80s, you know, so I'm old, from the 1900s. But so I just grew up in a regular family. My mom and dad grew up in Greenville, and that's where they met. And they're actually high school sweetheart, prom king and queen.
I gotta tell you, it's hard for me being a millennial, the only millennial in the room. You know, is that millennial or whatever it is?
Whatever the word is.
You got any brothers and sisters?
I've got 3 sisters. Two older, 1 younger.
And your mom and dad, high school sweethearts,
Yes, sir.
prom king and queen, and then you came along. Had they ever experienced anybody in the family that struggled with incarceration or addiction or?
There was no drugs or alcohol in our family, like immediate family. But I did have an uncle that, my mother's brother, that he was a drug addict, and I didn't know it. I just couldn't remember making those long trips up. Like it would only be me. Like she wouldn't invite my little sisters or my older sisters. It would just be me, and we'd go through these long fields and long roads, and it's like took forever. And then we'd go through these gates or whatever, and I'd sit out in the car. I didn't know we were going to prison to visit my uncle.
Oh wow!
But it made me feel special because I, you know, the only one
go.
I got to go. And then I'd see my uncle. I mean, whenever we'd leave, because I didn't get to go inside, my mother would be crying, you know, on the way back. And like, I hated that. Like, I didn't know really what was making her cry, but I was like, it made me very upset. But
And what began, because how many years did you struggle in addiction?
25 years.
25 years. Well, you don't look that old. And in those years of addiction, how many times were you incarcerated?
I have been to. Well, are we talking about incarcerated in the prison system or like county jails or like?
Both.
Okay, so I'm a 10-time convicted felon.
That is crazy.
Been to prison 6 times. I've been through everything that every offering that the state had. People laugh at me when I say that, but so I've been through pretrial. I've been through probation, house arrest, parole. Like I've been through all the things. The RID program, I did that for a while. Just been through everything. Like a lot of people have a really negative aspect of the judicial system and the legal system. They gave me every opportunity that that they had. So I don't have anything.
So what began the journey from a good kid, good parents, living in Vicksburg to that lifetime of addiction and incarceration?
So at a younger age, I was like really good in sports.
What was your favorite sport?
I loved them all. Like I think basketball and baseball probably were my favorite. But I used to go on these summer league teams in like Springfield, Missouri. And it was like 24 of us that played. And started in about the 5th grade. Like I was really good, and my dad really poured into me. Like I had batting cages, like all those things. Like he really poured into it and believed in me. And about the 8th grade, this girl I was dating, she was really good at basketball. Well, her dad said that we had to break up because what they told me was I was taking too much time away from basketball. But in my mind, he said I wasn't good enough for his daughter. And I was like, I didn't do drugs. Like I didn't hang out with a bad crowd. Like I worked hard. Like I had good grades. And so in my head, I was like, well, I'll show you. I'll show him. And I got a DUI on a driver's permit. Yes. Funny story. So the cop.
How? Because I'm old enough. When I was growing up, you could get your license when you were 15. Are you that age?
Yeah,
Okay.
I was 15 on the driver's permit. We were playing softball at a Riverfest tournament in Vicksburg. They used to have a Riverfest weekend. They had bands come and all that stuff. But then they'd have a softball team, and a bunch of the seniors asked me to play with them. So I did, and was drinking and got drunk or whatever, and drove home. Well, I pulled off the road, and because there got the lights behind me, and there's like I drove a '81 Dodge Ram with like these big 38-inch tires on it, and I hit a little hole, and I came out of it. Well, the cop hit the hole right behind me. And he was like, well, you going to pull me out? So I pulled him out. Then he put me in handcuffs and took me to jail. Yeah, that happened.
Yeah. No bonus points for being a good Samaritan.
Absolutely not.
So I guess you were 15 years old.
15 years old.
Isn't it funny how the devil uses things like the girl breaking up with you, or how we begin our journey to any sin? I know we're talking about addiction, but just it's interesting when you talk to people, the things that the devil used to get us in that trap.
Absolutely.
Just crazy things. So, and then did it progress slowly, or did you just?
It progressed pretty quickly. So that I had a scholarship offer in the 10th grade to play. I was really getting recruited by all the SEC schools, but I started partying, like, because the kids my age didn't really like me because they were like, oh, well, you think you're better than us. And then, the older kids, I was taking their starting positions, so they didn't really like me either. So I didn't really have a crowd to fit into. And so I turned to the crowd that would accept me, and that was the people that were drinking and partying hard, and started smoking weed and then pills, and then got introduced to crystal meth.
And did you continue to try to do athletics during that time?
I did. Not too very good, though.
No.
Not very successfully. By the 12th grade, I'd lost any interest from any colleges and got ballooned up to like 250, 260. Like I just wasn't doing anything but smoking weed and getting high, partying.
I can remember, because I love sports, I can remember, and I won't call his name, but I had the buddy, and it was time for high school baseball, and we were riding by and drinking. And I said, man, I got to go to tryouts. And he said, forget tryouts. Let's go have fun. And I can remember, and for years that would haunt me because, I just loved, I think, why would I let the, drugs and alcohol keep something that I love that much away from me? But, big regret, but the Lord, the Lord restores and redeems. So, and then that addiction led you to start getting in more serious trouble.
Yes, sir. So, when I got introduced to crystal meth, back then it was like $250, $300 for just very little bit, but it would last a lot longer, And once I did that the very first time, like it was over with. Like there was all the other drugs, like I didn't care nothing about any of the other ones. Like that was it. But I was poor, I didn't have a job, didn't have no skills because all I'd ever done is baseball or basketball or drugs, So I was like, well, there's no way I can pay this. So I got a guy that showed me how to manufacture it. Within just like a month of me doing it the first time. Were you
doing like the shake, the old shake, or the old way?
Yeah, this is the old anhydrous. This was
the serious business, man. Yeah, I'll tell you something, man. I'll never forget how entrapping it was, man. It was like it was an unstoppable force that, for me, I thought it made me better, because I got ADHD, obviously. And I would do it, and I would be able to work, and I would not be getting drunk all the time. And then, so I started to try to pull all these positives from it. And then, only a few years later, man, my whole life was absolutely destroyed, man.
It happened so fast, and I'll be honest with you. The only thing I was trying to pull was a female. I wasn't pulling any positives out of it whatsoever. 'Cause it was not any good for my life.
None.
No.
I mean, none.
Well, I've been studying Jonah this last month. It's interesting when Jonah runs away from God. It says he paid the fare and he went down to Joppa. And I had a little note in my Bible: when you fall into sin, you always pay the cost, and it brings you further than you wanted to go. It brings you down every time. So you started manufacturing it, and I guess you wasn't very good at not getting caught.
Yeah, I'm not. I was on top of the other things I was not very good at. And never have been a very good criminal. Like I seem to get caught.
Yeah.
And we had somebody.
Man,
on our
I had
show
a guy
one
ask
time.
me one time, man, in jail. That I was playing chess, and they said, "Man, you right? You do this?" He said, "Man, is there anything you can't do?" And my buddy said, "Yeah, sell meth without getting busted."
Like you said, how many times have you been arrested?
I have no idea as far as I know it's over 30, but I've been to prison 6 times.
Well, if you're a 10-time convicted felon, but we had somebody on the show and they were talking about, well, the only thing I was good at was being a criminal, and he had the story like yours. You're like, well, you wasn't too good. You know, if you've been to prison 4 times or whatever it was. So, well, Trey, that's crazy to me. I don't know if I know anybody that's a 10-time convicted felon.
I got right around there myself.
Well,
Not convictions. I have charges of probably about 13 charges altogether.
I got
Felony
10
charges.
convictions, and I'll tell you, I was scared to death of selling drugs because back then they would give you almost life in prison.
Yeah,
it
they
seemed
would throw
like
you
for
away.
that back in the 90s
30
and
years,
early,
man.
yeah. So, and then I was scared of the habitual offender. So all 10 of my felonies, every one of them's different. Like I would not get caught with 2 of the same one because then you can get the habitual offender, and then you have to So that was the only smart part about my criminal activity, I guess.
You did a great job.
I know we're chasing rabbits. I have a friend in Missouri, and his passion is to help people that have been convicted get their record expunged. And he came and met with me one time trying to, and really my heart is sharing Jesus, homeless ministry, jail, all that's just cares to share Jesus. And I said, that's just not really where my heart is, but there's a need for that in Mississippi for people that, they help. I know people that are law-abiding citizens and have been for 20, 30 years, but because they're a convicted felon. So maybe somebody besides me need to look into that as far as a ministry of helping people get their records expunged. But hey, where was God in all this when you were getting troubled? I mean, did you believe, or would you?
He was right there where God is always at.
Yeah.
I grew up in a family that was very church doors was open. We was there Sunday night, Sunday morning, Wednesday. We did all the things. Went to the nursing homes. We did all the things. Like my mom was a Sunday school teacher. My dad was a deacon. So I grew up in church and the knowledge of God. And of course I said the foxhole prayers throughout all those times. But, and I joke about this when I tell my story a lot of times. My relationship with God at that time was I felt like you probably had Jesus and then Peter and John, but then somewhere right in there, definitely ahead of Thomas and all the others, I fit in there. I was up there in the pecking order.
Right.
If I would have been born in those time periods,
Yeah.
I for sure would have been one of the chosen disciples. That was my thoughts. I had my ego and pride were obviously way out of whack, but so I think I had a knowledge of God, but I don't think that I really had a relationship with Him. And I talk about that in my book about Eli's sons. They had a knowledge of God, and they were surrounded by God, and
Still burned the wrong fire.
Still burned and died. Still died. So
And God wreaked havoc on them too.
Yes.
We don't talk about that story enough, really. So when you get arrested and go to prison and all, were you part of the prayer call and Bible studies and all that?
I was not. I did not ever want to be labeled as somebody that found the rehab. The jailhouse religion. I just was not, because first off, I really didn't believe that what they were doing, because the little bit that I had read the Bible, what I had read of it, I didn't see those characteristics being portrayed in those people that were doing those type things, and so I just didn't want to do that. After my second felony, I had some time that I wasn't using the drugs and alcohol, and I felt God called me into the ministry. I surrendered to the ministry, enrolled at New Orleans Theological Seminary.
Okay. Wow.
but then I eventually went back to drugs.
Thinking about what you just said a few minutes ago, man, I'm reminded of Romans, and it says, and though they knew God, they did not glorify him as God. Therefore, their foolish hearts were darkened.
That's right.
And I think a lot of us who walk that road, man, kind of come from that. We know God, we know of God, we heard of God, we've been to church, but our foolish hearts were darkened. And the more we got away from it, the more we fell into that sin, like you were just talking about, Scott.
I use this all the time, and I can't roll my R's, but like in Spanish, when you read the Spanish Bible, they use conocer and saber for no. We just say no, like no God, but conocer literally means to like meet somebody. But then when it's used in their Bible to like personally know intimately, they use saber. And when I learned that, I was almost blown away because. And just like this morning at the Madison County Jail, the ones we minister to, they connoisseur God. They know who God is, or they know about him, but they don't know, like, taste and see that I am good at that tangible part.
Well, even biblically speaking, that word "no" is different. That's why they use different in the Spanish, because if you look at when Adam knew Eve, the sister word of that is what is in the New Testament of to know Christ.
Intimate.
It's intimate.
Yeah.
And what happened when Adam knew Eve, the two became one flesh, just like the Holy Spirit indwells us and we become one. And it produces what? New life.
Yeah.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? There's a big difference in knowing and knowing.
I've never been accused of being smart, but at least the older I get, the more I've studied. But I remember when I first got saved, and I was so passionate about sharing the gospel, and I didn't know anything, but I'd tell people, John 3:16, and I'd say, okay, I believe in God, so I'm saved, leave me alone. Whatever they were doing, fire up another joint. But I used to think, well, they do believe in God, so what's the difference? But then when you read the Greek and all that believe means to actually means to place your faith in.
Pistas, yeah.
So it's
4102 in James Strong Court.
So what was the transition from where, you're in seminary? Hey, well, this is another question. And for those that are watching this that have never been incarcerated, this will go over their head. But did you maintain an addiction to drugs while you were incarcerated?
So sometimes I did, sometimes I didn't. Early on, for sure, I did. Yeah. Because then I still had people that would still pay the bill, basically, so to speak.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's,
they gonna kill me if you don't get $25.
That's so sad. But you know how many times I did that?
Man, I know it. I do.
And I regret those things. I hate those things. I still to this day, something will happen or that thought will cross my mind, and I'll text my mom and dad and say, I'm so sorry. Yeah. They're like, you don't have to apologize. It's been 5 years. It's been 3 years. Like, you don't have to do that. And I was like, I know, but I just, I hate that I did that.
Man, I think we all do, man. I'll tell you what, man, even as a Christian going through prison, because my life had completely changed, but I still had to answer for what I had done, right? This last time I was looking at a whole lot of time, and the Lord moved all that, but I still had to go do some time, right? And I'll never forget how sad I felt to watch those guys in that zone, man, who, they're scared to death for their life, but they just keep doing it over and over. They're on that phone, man. They're borrowing people's phones. The affiliated leaders are giving them phones to call and making them call their mom, their sister, you better get this money, and to see that fear in their face and the heartbreak that it has to be for their family, knowing what they're doing, you got to know. Nobody goes through $300 a week in prison. You know what I mean?
Well,
it's bad.
I guess my curiosity, because when did it shift? Because you're trying to, obviously you have a calling and God in your life. You want to go to seminary, want to know more about him, but you keep getting incarcerated. You keep struggling with addiction. So what was that turning point in your life?
So this last time, so I've tried to get sober 2 times in my life. Once I tried the AA program and the 12 steps and did those things. And, do you want me to tell you why that didn't work for me?
Yeah.
Okay, because this is kind of another funny story.
Yeah.
So I told my sponsor, like, they tell you to do all these things, and, so I had this new girl that was like a couple weeks maybe sober, and she was hitting on me, and I had been sober for 13 months, but I still was trying to live the godly life. I was trying to live the right way.
Put in the street.
I wasn't trying to, I wasn't trying to 13 step. Like I was trying to, but I was just still, so I talked to my sponsor about it. And he's like, man, you did great. That's what we tell you to do. You don't want to use nobody. You don't want to do all those things. And So this was on a Saturday night, and I felt really good about myself Saturday night when I went home, got in my bed by myself, slept on. Because I mean, I wasn't out running, sleeping around with all these people doing all this. I was really trying to live right, and felt really good about myself. Woke up the next morning, went to the meeting house to unlock it and make the coffee because I was chairing the meeting, and my sponsor's car drives by the front, and he normally parks right there by the door. It didn't. He drove down the alley to this farthest spot you could get. And I'm looking at it because there's glass windows all around it. And I see him pop out and walk around to the passenger seat and open that door. And out pops this girl that I
The same one.
The same girl.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm done with AA. I will never do this again, you know. And then went back out and got high about a week later.
I think the thing for AA and NA for me, man, was that, you know, it says that Jesus gives you a new name, right? A new character or personality. And for me to go up there and say, hey, my name is Damien and I am an alcoholic or I'm this, if all things are created new and I'm a new creation, then I'm no longer those things. And I just don't like, that's the one thing that I strongly disagree with. I know it's helped a lot of people, man, but to continuously for the rest of your life claim to be what Satan calls you rather than claiming to be what Jesus calls you is a major thing for me.
And I think even on that same line, like I got a guy that was wanting to argue with me about Celebrate Recovery. I said, man, I'm never going to defend Celebrate. I defend Jesus. That's what, but I see obviously the 12 steps, and especially if you work the steps, they work, but it's Jesus that changes lives. But what I was trying to tell him is that NDOC isn't calling me saying, Scott, we'd love for you to come teach the book of Revelation. You know, but they're saying, do you have an A&D program? And that's the best one that is blatantly Jesus and has the Bible. But I think people forget that sometimes. That
Scott, if you go teach Revelation in prison, I'm going back.
I'm not, Scott.
I'll call you.
I am not.
But I know, like we've talked about that even with sponsors, because you know that's all those 12 steps have a sponsor. I like the word accountability partner better. But anyway, we talked about that. What happens when your sponsor relapses, and it happens a lot. And then, but you have to have, Damon, you have to have that relationship with Jesus that's strong enough that where when your sponsor steals your girlfriend from your relapses, you don't go back to that life. So, and what about the second time you try to get clean?
Well, can I touch on that just for a second? Yeah. So I know y'all know Joey really well, Joey Nash. That's one of my good friends, man. And we've had this argument, especially early on in my recovery, because I still believe in the 12-step programs. But we got into this discussion about, not an argument, we just got into this discussion about the identity thing like you were talking about, Damon. And for me, I relate it back to Paul where he talks about, you know, he's the worst. He was still saying, I'm the worst sinner. Like, I'm the worst of the, like, he was still claiming that he was a sinner. And then he also talks about, you know, he can be all things to all people. Like, he can, if I'm with these group of people, then I can say this, that's fine. That's not just, because it doesn't alter my faith. It doesn't change my faith. But I think that the 12-step rooms and all that, you got people in there that are hungry for God.
Yes.
And some of them, maybe they have a strained relationship with God, or their idea of God is, you know, is really screwed up. And maybe, I'm not saying it's like a mission field, but
it actually kind of, it is. Yeah.
You know, because I believe in one God. There's one God.
Yeah.
That's right.
And so I don't care if you're praying to whatever you pray to. My God is the real God. He's going to hear you, and he sees your heart. He knows if you're being sincere, and he's going to reveal himself to you. Like that's what I choose to believe, because that's what he did for me.
That's what he did for me.
Yeah.
Well, you know, too, though, man, with those places, there are so many people in there who have absolutely no knowledge of God at all. And, you know, I hear people say all the time, well, I'm not religious. Well, yes, you are. Yes, you are. You worshiped every single day. You wouldn't be in that meeting if you didn't have a worship problem. You know, you had something that you worshiped, and the more you chased after it, to turn and chase the Lord like that, you know, you would see amazing things happen in your life, you know. And I think you're absolutely right, man. There are people in there who are starving for the Lord, and they've got to replace that wicked desire with a godly desire.
Like I said, because we do one Celebrate Recovery, we're probably 90% of the ones there are court appointed, and we try to bring in.
They fighting in the parking lot.
Well, we've been blessed.
Over that same girl he's talking about.
Because I had one guy tell me that's the worst thing you can ever do because they're going to run, and we haven't had that experience, thank God. But man, you can see how miserable they are.
Yeah,
And
they
we
hate it.
bring in good speakers and great, like we had Nakia doing worship, but until they get Jesus, but at least we have that platform to when that time comes, they're there. And you're the expert because you're a peer support specialist. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But I've talked to a lot of people, like I know some churches that say, well, we're just going to bring in these addicts and we're just going to have church. But the people that I've talked to that really struggle with addiction, they talk about how important it is to work those steps.
Yeah.
And how, I know when I first met Eddie Poole, we talked about that. He said, well, it's got to be more than just a worship service or a speaker, because if you don't work those steps, the people in my world are probably going to relapse.
That's right.
So it's really important to work those steps. And, God gave us those. And I like how Celebrate Recovery points you toward Jesus. Yeah. So
all those years I did it at FOA, man, and City Refuge before that, there was one thing that I came to understand. And it was a hard lesson because I was up there teaching my heart out, man. And to see them, over here, and they're not paying attention at all. And you got to come to this understanding that it's not going to reach every one of them at the same time. Mm-hmm. But, man, if there's one of those guys who came from the jail who's been court ordered there, and you see that aha moment, and they start to ask you questions, man, that's the goal. You're not going to be able to say, to bring them all in. And that was a hard thing for me to learn because I wanted everyone to listen. I wanted them to have what God had given me.
Well, I think we had a blessing. We had two Muslims. And I remember feeling so bad. I didn't realize how much pork we ate because we'd feed them every week, and we had pork every single week. And the guy said, can y'all have something besides? I'm like, yeah, we gonna work on that. And but anyway, the one guy asked me, he said, I have a problem. I can't do this because it's Jesus. And I said, well, that's what this program is. I can recommend you to go with AA and talk to the drug court, AA and A, but this program, we can't change it.
Yeah.
And both of them, I can't tell you that they got saved now, but both of them went through the program. So at least those seeds were planting their life. And where else are you going to have that opportunity? But Trey, I guess what I want you to explain, like somebody's watching this and viewing this and they said, man, I couldn't get it together. I keep relapsing. I keep struggling because I guess, what would you tell them? What was your turning point where you left it all behind because you knew the Lord in your struggle?
Yeah.
So, can you pinpoint a time where you said, hey, on this date, I gave my life to the Lord and I got saved? And
I can't, I will say, so I told you the first time, the second time I tried to get sober, I tried it with just me and God. Like because I know God is capable of everything. Like,
that's right.
He's all powerful. Like he could do it. And so I stayed sober for 3 years. Wasn't going to meetings, wasn't going to Celebrate Recovery, wasn't having any relationship with any other Christians. I was going to church, and God gave me everything I ever wanted in life except a wife. I bought land for the first time in my name, truck, all the things, and I had a good job. Like I'd done dope in prison my whole life. I didn't have enough skills. I didn't know how to, and then I still relapsed, and I felt like
go back and put your finger on what caused you to relapse.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was working as a farmer, and you're busy during harvest, you're busy during planting. Other than that, you got kind of down. Well, we started working 12, 15-hour days, 16-hour days. So and we were just doing it 6 days a week. Then it started on Sunday. So then I'm skipping Sunday night church, skipping Wednesday church, skipping my prayer time, my devotion.
Yep.
Next thing you know, I'm not going to church on Sundays. Next thing you know, I'm not even talking to God, period. So I know that's exactly where it went. God didn't go anywhere. Like I did that. And so then I went through some more issues and then got arrested again and was facing 28 mandatory years before I ever got the new sentence. And I was sitting in the F&G building at CMCF thinking to myself, my kids are all right. My family's blessed. I'm blessed that my family has taken good care of my kids. Like my mom and dad are great with them. Like they're good. Like they're not going without, which is not the case for everybody. Like that was just saying that was my story. Like I was blessed in that. My daughter was taken care of. Everybody was taken care of. And I could do the next 28 years in prison. That's what I was thinking. Like I was working in the kitchen, running the morning kitchen crew. Like I could do this. Like I got to hustle. I can bring stuff back from from the cafeteria, come back, and I can do this. And then I was like, man, that's nuts. You know what I'm saying? That's nuts. And so I ran out of excuses finally in that moment. Like couldn't blame anybody else. Like I was the reason that I was in here. Like, I was the reason that my kids, even though they're okay, like, I'm the one that's missing out. They're okay. God's taking care of them because we got a good God. He's taking care of them. It was me that was missing out on everything. And I came to the point of getting to the end of myself. Like, I had run out of excuses. I couldn't blame my mom and dad. I couldn't blame the high school, junior high girlfriend. I couldn't blame the sponsor. I couldn't blame anybody but me. It was my fault. And until that happened, like, I could not get recovery. Like, I could get some clean time, but I could not get recovery.
That's so good.
You can't fix something if you don't know the problem.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
Good.
And if you misalign what the problem is.
Say that again. You can't fix something
unless you know what the problem is.
And biblically, that's confession and repentance.
Absolutely. And so I know there's not a earthly solution to a spiritual problem.
Amen.
And my problem was spiritual. So I stripped me back down to, like, okay, God, what do I know to be true in this world? Like, 'cause if I'm going to do this, like, this is my only chance to really do this. If I'm going to do it, what's true and what's not true? AA does work, and so I still use some of the tools from AA. I go to meetings, I do those things because that's a tool that God's given me. But ultimately, I know 100% God is the truth. So of all the things that I know, like I had been to 23 treatment centers, 7 sober livings, 3 secondaries. I'd been through there. I knew the lingo. I knew what to do. I knew the steps backwards and forwards. I knew the principles. I knew all the things, but those things didn't work for me. So what I knew is God, and I knew that his word was true. Like, I knew that, and I could stand on that. And so I started searching out for his promises. I brought my Bible. There's Isaiah 55 when I was sitting in there. Like, there was just something telling me, like, to read this when I was in there. And it talks about, it says, come everyone who thirsts, come to the waters. And he who has no money, come, buy and eat. Come buy wine and milk without money and without price. Why do you spend your money on that which is not bread, and your labor for that which does not satisfy? Listen diligently to me and eat what is good, and delight yourselves in the rich food. And it goes on to say, and that's the one where, seek the Lord while he may be found, and all these things. And my thoughts are not your thoughts. Like, and God was just speaking this into my life. And I stood on that. Those were promises I stood. Amen. Like, I had been searching for the feeling of my hunger and my thirst, and I'd been doing it in all the wrong places, and I'd been spending all my money and all my efforts, all my labors,
your time
in vain, all my time in vain, like on some stuff that does not satisfy. And that's what he was telling me, and it just made sense for the first time in my life. It was almost like I can remember, like, I was fasting. I went through, like, it was like day 2 or 3 going into day 3 of the fasting, and I'm not hokey pokey on all this. Like, I grew up Southern Baptist, like we barely raise our hands in the service. But I was fasting and praying, and, like, I come back to this verse, and these words on this page literally were, like, popping off the page, and it was almost like I could see them in 3D. Amen. And I was like, okay, God,
he who has eyes to see and ears to hear.
Yes, and and from then my life has been changed. Everybody's like, well, did it happen gradually? Did you have no, like that? I came when I woke up. Like, that was it. Like, and I knew that was it. Like, my life had changed forever.
Amen.
So the gospel is standing on the promises of God.
That's right.
That's a Southern Baptist Sunday school lesson right there. So,
that's right.
Well, I think that's so cool. How do you incorporate that? Well, tell us about, because you are a peer support specialist.
Yes.
And who do you work for?
I currently work for the state of Mississippi as a peer support specialist at the state hospital. I'm actually just got a promotion as supervisor over the state hospital for peer support. But peer support is just people who've lived with a lived experience, people who've been either with mental health or substance use disorders. And we just overcome those challenges. And then we just, we go through this training. It's like a 40-hour training. And those are the only 2 qualifications. You have to be, it's 3. You have to be sober for a year. You can't just be fresh off of it and then get in there and try to teach it. But, and then you have to either have overcome mental health diagnosis or substance use disorder.
And I think it's cool because you're actually teaching the classes for people who want to be a peer support specialist. I think that's so cool how guys, he's not only, restored you and redeemed you, but he's putting you in a position of influence. That's really, really cool.
Scott, so when I was telling you about Isaiah 55, and this is one of the things that, like, on verse 5, where 4 says, behold, I made him a witness to the people, a leader and a commander for the peoples. behold, you should call a nation that you do not know, and a nation that did not know you will run to you. Like the gospel's come true in my life, like, and even just in that little thing, because I can relate to these people I don't even know are coming, and I'm getting to teach them in this peer support thing. So I don't know. That's
Well, don't say anything you're not supposed to say. So, but how do you navigate in a setting that is kind of a secular setting, being able to share what you just shared with us? Is that
so that was tricky at first. So when I first became a peer support, I was at Belmont Gardens Recovery Center in Vicksburg, and I could share my faith there because they're faith friendly. That's what they say. At least when I was there, they were, and I love that, like, because I'm a firm believer that without Jesus Christ and without God, like, you're not going to get sober.
Yeah.
Like, you may get off drugs, and that's fine. If that's good enough for you, that's fine. But you're not going to have a relationship with God. You're not going to grow into like all the things that He has.
what they call dry drunk?
That's right. That's right. And miserable. And that wouldn't work for me because I tried it.
I know a whole bunch of people, man, who never took a drink of alcohol or did a drug in their entire life. That's gonna bust hell wide open.
That's right. That's right. So, but at the state hospital, like, I have to be careful. But we have the lived experience part. So we're not clinicians. We're not clinical. So we have a little bit more leeway with that. But sharing Jesus Christ is more than just saying, "Hey, Scott, do you know about Jesus?" Like, there's way more ways to show Jesus Christ.
You got that right.
I can't tell you how many patients I have on a daily basis come up and say, "We absolutely love when you come because nobody else in this building treats us the way that you do." That's sharing the gospel.
That's right. That's
you know,
right.
because God is love, and that's what we're called to do.
I get. I'm trying to think the right way to say this.
What's that old adage, Scott? You may be the only Bible these people ever read, man.
Because I don't want this to come across wrong, but like, I've had friends that, like, their wife were teachers, and they said, "Well, she ain't teaching there because it's a public school and they can't share the gospel." And I'm like, but her in that classroom, she can pray over those kids every single day, and she knows their names, and she can go home and pray for them, and how she treats them. And there's legal ways if it's brought up where you can share. And it's almost like if we all just isolate ourselves, our little tribe, how are we going to reach people? And I don't know how to explain it. Sometimes I think we as Christians are bad about that. Like, and I've struggled with that, but we had an opportunity. I don't know if I can say the name. We had an opportunity to go to a place, and I was like, "All right, are we going to be able to share the gospel?" And the guy said, "You talk about what you do, and whatever questions they ask, you have liberty to answer however you want to." And
Exactly. It's the same way at the hospital. So, like, one of the things that we do is we have groups of things, but part of it is we build relationships with these people. Because they need to see that we're just like them. We're not any different.
That's right.
Like, I was a drug addict for years.
Damn,
like, I had dealt with mental health. Like, I'm a convict. All those things. Like, I've been there, and I've turned my life around, and this is how I did it. And so I get to share like what worked for me, and then they'll come back and ask me after the group. Like, they'll talk to me about it. Like,
One thing that I tell the guys a lot, man, dealing with FOA, man, is that, when you are a Christian, when you have come to Jesus and Jesus is truly living his life through you, right? You're not just a better person. You are a new creation. And I think a lot of times when people set out to get sober or be a better father or keep their job or whatever, they want to be a better person. And, there's a major difference between a better person and a new creation.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's a powerful thing to come to the realization of. And another thing, even if you can't go in there and expressly preach the gospel to them, right? I mean, there's rules in place that you can't do that. But through your life, they should be able to recognize the difference between you and these other people. And like you just said, man, we love it when you come, right? When I was teaching at FOA every week, it was, man, so this is my favorite class, One, you identify with them. They can see themselves in you. And two, they see that if you could change, they can too.
That's right.
Well, it's so weird how we like it. Like I said, sometimes we in the church world, because if you got a job at Nissan, you wouldn't say, "I'm not taking that job because it's not a Christian." They won't have to say that. You know what I'm saying? But I know
I'm driving Nissans.
We was talking about David Dillmore off the air, but David's testimony is a guy he worked with at Leonard Fabricators, a guy there was just something different about him. That's what drew him. And I know a guy in my church, Bobby Jenkins. He's a mechanic, and he said all of his life, all he heard was people say that can't trust a mechanic. And his objective was he wanted to be a mechanic people could trust and that would do a good job and display Christ that way. And I think that, we miss that sometimes. So
But if you if you look in the Bible, look at Jesus. It was what he didn't profess to be the Son of God until the very end of his ministry. So like he was still being a witness.
That's right.
All this time, he was still the Son of God. So
that's really interesting. I was just reading today where he heals them and says, "All right, don't tell anybody."
That's right.
Don't we're not going to tell anybody. So that's great. You're working for the state of Mississippi, helping people in need. That's so cool. And I love what you said about how the Word of God is what changed your life. What encouragement would you give people that are walking through like what you walked through, just a roller coaster of relapse and hitting the bottom over and over again? What encouragement would you give them?
That's right. I mean, if somebody like me can do it, anybody can do it. But you got to get honest with yourself. Like you've got to get honest with yourself, and don't give up on yourself. And it starts just one day at a time. Like it literally, I know that's a saying in the room, but literally, just make one right decision. It can have like you have no clue where. Like, so I start the master's program in 2 weeks to be a master social worker. So I want to be a drug and alcohol counselor. That's what I want to do. Maybe, unless God's still calling me into the ministry. That's a whole nother podcast for another day.
Just don't get swallowed by a whale now.
So, but I mean, if he can do it for me, he can do it for anybody. Like there is no telling what God can do to your life. Because I can promise you, I never in my wildest dreams would have imagined sitting here 4 years later. Yeah.
Well, I can tell, so I think about 2 Corinthians 5:17, because you don't carry yourself as a convict. You don't have, a lot of times you can be around people and they got that feel. Or I got Damien upset with me one time because I described him as a koala bear. He said, "Could you not come up with something better?"
Yeah, that man called me a koala. I was like,
that's a pretty good. That's a pretty good. I like that.
But, for all the years now, you can tell by his tattoo and scars. But when you're around Damien one-on-one or talking to him on the phone or going out to eat, he doesn't have that convict feel. And you, like if I just met you on the streets, I'd never think that you'd ever been in trouble. So that's shows you.
I got the receipts to prove it.
Shows you what Jesus has done in your life. Well, Trey, tell us about one thing, because I've always said I want to write a book. I want to write, but my ADD, I'll start and I never can.
Don't
finish.
do like everybody else, Scott, and have ChatGPT write your book for you.
Yeah, I'm
ChatGPT did not write that.
I'm glad to hear that. I think that's how I'm going to advertise it if I ever finish it. Written by Scott and not Chat GPT.
Edited by ChatGPT.
Yeah. But tell us how this came about.
So Meth to Marathons, like that's something that God put in my heart. When I was in prison, like I started walking and running, and just like I love running. And there were so many parallels in running and my life that I have today, like in the Christian faith and in recovery. Setbacks, overcoming those internal voices that you hear, which is just you, it's just it's your voice. It's the devil, those lies that you've been told all your life. You can hear them creeping back up. And it's just overcoming those, because I had never been able to overcome them. I've always fallen victim to them, I never really tried. But when I started running, I started just realizing just how close that is with my spiritual faith. My spiritual walk, because God doesn't say that we're not going to be tempted. He doesn't say that we're not going to be hearing the lies of the enemy all the time, because we're still hearing.
Yeah,
you can be in this Bible all day long and you're still going to hear the lies of the devil. And it's you don't have to act on them. You don't have to, you can fight against them. You can run through them. You can push through them. But so like I wanted it to be, so for me, my recovery involved mind, body, and spirit. It's really, I say recovery, but it's really like the discipleship part of it. But so I was working on my mind, I'm working on my spiritual part, and I wanted to work on the physical part, because although I do believe that addiction is a choice, it's just me, and I vary from a lot of people in that. I feel like it's a choice that we make, a sin, if you will, but it's a choice that we make. That's what we chose to do. I don't believe that I was born an addict. I do believe I was born a sinner, and that's just how my sin came out in my addiction. But the brain does. I do know that there are physical consequences of consistent drug use. Like the brain does rewire. Those are the consequences of my choice, of my sin. And so when you're early on in recovery, it's very vital to like be physically active, because the brain will rewire. God does work all those things back out. It's amazing how God does
Yes,
that.
indeed.
But it kind of like a jump starts them when you're doing physical activity, because you're getting those dopamine releases, you're getting all those things, and it starts building those neurotransmitters back. And so like I just encourage people to that. And so it's just like almost like a whole health type recovery.
You know what I tell the guys a lot, man, and this is just an old principle, is to admit the struggle, recognize the lie, and replace the lie with the truth.
Right.
Right. So admit the struggle. Admit that those voices are still calling you to do this crazy stuff. And I use this example a lot. I'll say, well, if you always go to your girlfriend's house and you always go to jail from there because she's drunk and acting crazy, right? But yet you still go to your girlfriend's house, right? You got to admit the struggle. You want to go to your girlfriend's, right? But the lie is everything will be fine if you go over there.
Right.
The truth is, if you go over there, you end up going to jail, 40% of the time. It's not worth the risk. So whenever you start to replace that lie with the truth, okay, where does it actually lead, right? Where does it actually bring me to?
Right.
It don't bring you to that part where everything's going great. That part's there, but then not very long after that.
Us as Christians, we don't really like to talk about those type of things. We don't like to talk about our struggle. And that's one of the things that I grew up and had a struggle with the church. And even especially since I've gotten in recovery, even though I don't have a problem with the church anymore, I just think it's an area that we really lacking. But we're not open, we're not transparent. Like I can remember growing, I never knew anybody ever sinned in my church, growing up. If you'd have listened to it, because it was fire and brimstone, nobody ever talked about their struggles, being real and honest.
You got to,
and
man.
I'll be honest, that's what I found in AA and in the program and Celebrate Recovery. I've come across people they're honest, okay, I'm struggling with it. You never heard people say they're struggling with porn. Or struggling I'm a liar. I can't stop lying, and I don't know why. You don't hear people say that as they're Christians, because we want everybody to think everything's perfect,
polished and beautiful.
Well, I think our friends Cameron Fitzgerald and
Cameron
Brian,
was watching, by the way.
What's up, Cameron, and Brian Edwards? Are you familiar with Men's Alliance? Because that'd be right up
I
your
don't know
alley.
that I am.
Men's Alliance is a thing, and I remember when they told me about it, I'm like, that ain't gonna work. And now it's mushroom, but you do a 30-minute CrossFit type workout. But there's people that, this is funny to me, their rule is don't die. That's it, don't die.
That's a good rule.
That's about the best
They
rule.
have one guy that literally he just walks around, but there's other guys that no matter how in shape you are, you can't do that workout. It's so intense. And then they do a 30-minute devotion, but they build a fire every time. Man, that thing has grown, and part of it's because they're sharing their struggles with each other and all. And it's kind of hard to wrap your mind around it, but like Chad Thompson, 2 guys asked him to baptize them. They got permission from their pastor, but so Chad had that kind of influence, but they're sitting around circle, and Chad's letting them know the struggles he has, but yet they still respect him so much. I want to get baptized. I want you to do it. And I think we're missing something in the church, like you said. And I know your pastor can't get up there and I get my sermon ready this morning. I look, there's some things I'm looking at porn, and I told my wife, I slapped her and I shot.
We could be like that pastor over in Louisiana.
Yeah.
Disclaimer: none of that actually happens.
So I understand that you got to have a core group, and I understand that, but there's something about, because people do think that you got it all together and I don't, and that works for you because you don't have these problems. So
Scott, and I think that's one of the reasons it really stunted my growth, is because I knew of God and I knew of the Bible, when at a younger age, but it was almost like, okay, you come down, you walk this aisle, you say that prayer, and you're not supposed to have those thoughts anymore. You're not supposed to make those sins anymore. It's like we almost slacking on the discipleship part. Okay, so now I know who God is. I want to ask him into my heart. I want him to lead me. But now what? What's next? And I did find that in AA. And I say that is, I believe in AA because I believe in, I don't look at it as either or, you know what I'm saying? I don't believe that you can, because there's a big divide between faith and really 12-step programs, and so there, why do I have to have one or the other? Because I can find God everywhere. I can find God anywhere,
Well,
but
even the 12-step
the
programs were created really in the image of God. It was only later that psychology came in and took it over, right?
Thank you for pointing that out. We didn't have this praying to a doorknob or whatever.
Yeah.
That's not what the 12 steps are.
No.
That's not where it came from.
Well, when you read AA, their history, They were Christians, but they were trying to reach a brother that was struggling, that was not a believer. And again, I think sometimes, man, we as a church sometimes, you know, we're just not good sometimes. I don't know, because it's like, well, you know, but people that don't know the Lord, we're all better if they're not on dope, breaking in your house.
Yeah.
And we're even better if we can lead them to the Lord but we're all better off if we can get people off drugs, whether they believe or don't believe. I mean, we're just better as a society. So we're bad about throwing the baby out with the bathwater. And I was with them this morning. We got a friend that goes to Madison County Jail with us, Kevin Chum. We need to get him on here, Damien, but he was a crack addict, which is funny. He was a bail bondsman too. Bail
Oh, there's a lot
bondsman,
of them like that, man. You'd be amazed. You'd be
Lawyers.
surprised, Scott.
And he has a funny testimony. His AA sponsor fired him. And he said, "What do you mean?" And he said, "Don't come back." And he said, "What do you mean?" He said, "You're going to have to get your teeth knocked out, get arrested again, and have a wreck before you're ready." But Kevin does as well as anybody know. He had an encounter with Jesus that changed his life. But all those principles that AA taught him, he incorporates that. And, you know, and it's all, you know, it's very biblical to have, like I said, I don't like the word sponsor, but to have
Accountability.
Yeah. I mean, and it's very biblical to confess your sins to one another. It's very biblical.
I mean, Jesus even said, if you bring your offering to the altar and you realize that a brother has aught against you, he didn't say that you have something against your brother. He said that your brother has something against you. Mm-hmm. First, go and be reconciled with your brother, and then come back. And I think that's where we have a problem. And that's one thing I love about the 12-step programs is that going and being the reconciliation phase, where you go and you say, "Hey, look, man, I blew it. I'm sorry. I was at fault. You spent years of my life blaming you for everything I had done, and I'm sorry about that." And I think there's just so much freedom in that part right there.
I'll be honest, Scott. Also, like, I found fellowship in there. Whereas when I first came back to CR, because I've done CR, like, I didn't get that connection right away. But now since have, so it's probably something that was just with me, feeling inferior or feeling, like I had,
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, sometimes we get it right. Sometimes
Cameron Fitzgerald said, James 5:16, Tina Freeman Newton. Hey, Tina, good to see you, girl.
Dang, I hate Cameron because I was bragging.
You hate Cameron?
Yeah, I ain't even watching because I was
Cameron,
bragging.
did you hear that?
By the way, Cameron, I got a T-shirt that I got made just for him. I won't talk about it. I won't surprise him.
Does it say GOAT? The GOAT, baby.
Hey, well, thank y'all for watching. Y'all hit that share button. Hey, you talking about the exercise part, and that's another thing I think we have failed as the body about how it all fits together. And just like you was talking about replacing, you're using that analogy about going to your girlfriends and you replace it, but that addictive things that we used to do to replace it with exercise, and how, obviously God made our temple and he teaches so much about it, but we as a church are probably the most unhealthiest people out there. So
every day of your life, you're going to chase something.
Right.
Every single day.
And it doesn't matter if you were born, like when people say, well, I was born an addict, you still have to take a choice to take that drink or take that shit. But like, I may be born with high metabolism or low or high sugar or low sugar, but the one thing we all can control is what we put into our body. Right. And I'm a F at that because I eat terrible, and we physically go eat terrible in a minute. So
you don't drink coffee, do you, Scott?
Drink too much coffee, eat too much sugar, and don't exercise enough. But I know when I've been the best spiritually is also when I was the best physically, combining all of it. I've been in great physical shape, was terrible spiritually, but the best I've been is when I combined all of it. So
well-rounded.
I guess, I guess the world would teach that as holistic. Jesus says mind, body, soul. So did you start running competitively when you were locked up, or was it just something to?
Well, I ran a little bit when I was younger, but I was very competitive because of sports. And I played mostly with just basketball or baseball, but anything with a ball I'd play. But I did run every once in a while because I like to win. Like, I love the praise from winning,
Yeah.
So I ran some, starting in the late 2010. My dad started running. My sister got him to run, so he started running. So it really became a family thing. Like, my brother-in-law, my sisters, everybody, we were always running. And I was always running to win. Like I wanted to win. I was trained to win, all those things. For the first time in my life, this time I'm running. I'm not running against anybody else. I'm running against myself. And, like overcoming those challenges in my own head. And that's what I do now. So it's
next mile marker kind of in a way, right?
And it changes. The whole perspective changed, and it changed my thought processing on the run. Like, like I'm able to now like encourage other people. Like I'm wanting them to win. Like, come on, good job. Like before, no, I'm trying to trip you. You know what I'm saying? No, come around that corner. I'm going to trip you. And now like I can really like love people. Like I want them to be their best versions of themselves.
That's
you know?
right. That's right.
I'll tell you something funny, me and Chassie, because I hate to run, but those 5Ks are such a family and camaraderie, and we got our kids. So this year we set a goal that we're going to run 1 5K a month. So that's the positive thing. The negative thing is we don't do anything in between. Literally.
Have you been running the 5K a month?
Once a month, but we hadn't done anything in between. So the goal would be, you would think, well, I embarrassed myself so much on the 5K, we're going to get up and at least walk Monday. No, we just so, but at least we're doing something once a month and maybe next year. But, there's so many good causes, like Swag does a 5K. We do a 5K. Saving Grace has one November. So if nothing else, just supporting those ministries. Right. But there's a camaraderie and you get outside and all that. But I know to run a marathon is taking it to a whole nother level. So
it kind of reminds me, you're probably familiar with this book. Did you ever read CEO, The Mentor and the Kid?
Oh yeah.
And that's kind of what comes to my mind when we're talking about this, Scott, you probably
we're chasing rabbits, but I have not read that, but we give that out at the Madison County
Well,
jail.
you need
Somehow
to read it. It's like
free.
70 pages or something, or 80 pages.
But we give those out at the jail that somebody sent us a box free. So somebody said it's a good book.
It really is. It really is.
So go ahead. I interrupted you. What?
No, I was just gonna say it's just because it has a lot of there are a lot of parallels to what we're talking about right now with the running and stuff. And the guy went into the jail. He was in jail. The mentor came in and kind of helped the kid. But anyway, you're gonna have to read it yourself, Scott. I'm not here to give you book details.
Yeah, should be my cliff notes. So.
I'm trying to get. Eventually I'm gonna get meth marathons in the prison system. That's my
man,
goal.
And you know what? It shouldn't be that hard, man. Mm-hmm. We know some. I believe we know some chaplains. I know some chaplains. So we'll see if we can't get in
funny,
there for you.
If we and I'll see if Aubrey will buy some, because like in Madison County, every jail is different. But as long as it doesn't have staples, which yours doesn't, they pretty much let us give out what we want. And other jails, they don't let them give anything. But
I'll get with Tony Graham. As a matter of fact, if y'all remind me when we start to leave, I'll shoot him a text and ask him and see if we can't get some down there for the Harrison County guys.
Okay.
Well, you know what I think would be cool, because when Michelle Rose was at the Juvenile Detention Center, she started a running program, and that she wanted a mentor and to run with those kids, and then they would get out, do a 5K together. And but we have a running, with the Rankin County trustees, they have a running program, and there's testimony after testimony of how much that helped them. I think it'd be cool to get this book in the hands of people, and maybe do like a devotion series with them, with the goal is to, when you get out, or even, some places while they're still there, to run a marathon.
I'm all for it.
I think that'd be really cool, and that would take care of that body, soul, and spirit. But I know you can do like I do and don't do anything and run a 5K once a month, but you can't do that and run a marathon.
I cannot.
So how does one train for a marathon?
Painfully. It just takes a lot of running. Like you just build up, basically from the 5K all the way up. Like you get your weekly mileage up. So last time I trained, I did the Houston Marathon last year and got hurt about mile 18 or 19, hurt my knee. But so I've got bad arthritis from all my years in playing sports, and the doctor told me about a month ago that my long distance days would have to be given up. But I've since researched some other methods of running. Like, so there's the run walk method that you can run like 5 minutes and then walk a minute, doing that throughout the whole marathon. And then I'm also doing all my training, because I'm doing another one next year at the beginning of the year. You can do it. I'm going to do all my training on the treadmill because it's less wear and tear on your knees or whatever. And I hadn't had any pain from that, but it's just working that weekly mileage up, because it's not so much about the long runs as it is you wanting to get that weekly mileage up in the 50-mile range.
Well, because that was interesting to me, that because I know like in every other thing, you would want to, before you bench 220, you would want to, get close to that. But when you train for a marathon, you never run 26 miles.
You know, about 20 or 21 miles, you're
So
good at that.
So that's so interesting to me that that's the reverse thing. But there's so many spiritual analogies because, and I have had friends that run marathon. They said you can't take a week off now. It's like, so as far as discipleship, same way, you can't take a week off.
Right.
You got to present your body a daily sacrifice. And so what's some other things that the marathon has taught you spiritually?
That there will be setbacks, because I like the injury that I had into that marathon, getting hurt. I wanted to give up after that. I was like, I'm done with this. Like it's over with, but it's just the same way. Like we're going to have, even as Christians, even if you're in the word every day, we're going to sin. We're going to have slip ups. I'm not necessarily saying slip ups with drugs or alcohol, but saying you're going to slip up. None of us are perfect. And, but there's a father that's, got his arms wide open, was waiting, just come on back, pick up your mat, sin no more, and go on about it. And it's the same way with running. So, okay, I didn't run yesterday and I ate 2 cheeseburgers, to me, that'd be a setback with my running, but, just pick it up the next day, I don't know. There's so many parallels to it. The cleansing your mind, and a lot of people do nothing but running with music in their ears. Some days I'll run with my AirPods in, but a lot of days I'll run and I don't have anything in my ear because it's a worship service for me. If that makes any sense.
Well, look, I'm that sinner because all my friends, they only listen to worship music and all that, but I still listen to secular music. And me and Stephanie, we had Stephanie last week. She's talking about how much she loved country music, but I lost my little ear things. So the last 2 that we did, I didn't have them, and I caught myself praying more.
Yes, sir.
And the one we did in July was that watermelon festival, and that was miserable. It was a lot of hills, and it was hot. But so other than praying that God don't let me die or throw up and embarrass myself, I caught myself just praying more. And for whatever reason, I was praying for my children. And I told Jesse, I said, I don't think I'm going to run with the head things anymore because I don't know, it just helped me pray more.
It's amazing how while you're running, especially the longer distance you get, but God will bring things to you throughout your run that you're like, I didn't even know that was like something that I was really struggling with. The thought that I didn't even know that I was having, and you're able to pray it out and like pour your heart out. I have caught myself, I have stopped in the middle of the runs and hit my knees multiple times, throwing my hands up like, thank you, God, And
it's probably because we don't take the time to, we're all so busy and ripping and roaring, and that running, you're away from everything. Because I'm like you, it caused me to think about different things and pray for things I wouldn't have. So the discipline and the setbacks and what else have
the consistency, because it is. You've got to be consistent with it. If you like we were just talking about, like if you stop on the running, if you take a week off, like you're not going to be able, you're going to come back, but you're going to have injuries, or whatever. And it is the same way in our Christian walk, good, bad, or indifferent. We need to be going to the Father. It doesn't matter what's going on. Like be consistent in that prayer time and that meditation with them. So just spending time with them. That's another one of the parallels.
Now, how do you choose which marathons you run?
Whichever ones look like they got the best after party. So the Houston, running Houston was such a cool experience because they've literally got 250, 300,000 people that line up the streets the whole way. And so they're cheering you on. They got little funny stuff going on, like funny people with signs and clowns, not clowns, but just crazy look. And it's just really cool to see the town. It's all the people.
When did they do that? What time of year?
That one's in January.
All right. And then the other one you're training for, when is it?
So I haven't decided, depending on how my training goes. I'm either going to do the Blues Marathon in Jackson, or I'm going to do one that's in April down in Hattiesburg, which are not, either one of these are not the cool. So the Houston Marathon had 45,000 runners. It was a lot of runners. These will not have nowhere near that, but
they're cool.
I'm happy to try to line out with my timing on the training because that plays a lot into it too.
There's probably one of the best preachers I know. His name's Tim Lott. He's at All Seasons Worship Center in Forest, but I don't know if he's still a runner or not, but he used to run. But he's got that perfect preacher, where he gets you into it and he's quiet and he builds up the emotional, but he talks about, we do a service every year where we do the 7 sayings of Jesus on the cross. He talks about the running, when Jesus went on the cross, but he talks about one time he was running and he's about ready to quit and he was wore out. And he said, but then I could see my family up there and they were clapping for him and cheering. And he said, I could see that finish line, and he built it up with a lot of emotion and all, but it was so good. But there's something about that you, like Paul says, to finish the race.
That's right.
So, have you come up with some devotions for the running yet?
I have come up with some. Obviously Timothy's got some good stuff, and then Paul. But I'm still working on it on that.
Well, do you think you got another book in you?
I do. I'm actually starting in the beginning phases of talking about recovery and relationships. And like as a Christian man, like going through that, because I've seen so many people relapse, or so many people go back to their old ways because they either yoked up with the wrong person or whatever. Like, I just know a woman can take a man down there quick. I mean, that's what led to the downfall of mankind. But and then at the same time, I know women that can get took down there through their men. So like just the struggle of dealing with our own baggage that we bring into relationships as drug addicts that are in recovery, that are, even though we've been set free from all those things, like we still have baggage, like our sins still have consequences. We still have to deal with those, and just trying to navigate those roads. It's tough, it really is. So that's
been that's been the number one thing, man, that I've seen drag people back in, is relationships that they, even if it would have been a good relationship, it was not yet time for that relationship. Yeah. So they try to rush into it and they think, well, I'm supposed to have this and I'm supposed to have a job and I'm supposed to, and it ends up being a deterrent from the Lord. And when they take their eyes off the Lord at that time, they fall. That's or right. Another thing is when you go back to that girl who you were getting high with for the last 5 years, and you're going to go home and you're going to change her. A lot of times you're not going to change her. In fact, you're going to fall right back into it. And that's a horrible thing, man.
So I was talking about standing on the promises. This is one of the promises that I stood on. I believed that God had someone for my life when I got sober.
Me too.
I believed that with my whole heart. Like, God doesn't want us to be alone. It's not good for man to be alone.
That's right.
So I knew those things. But I was not going to attract a wife worth having at that point in my life. So I needed to learn how to be a man, first off, because I had been a boy my whole life. Like, even 40 years old or 38 years old, I was still a boy. So I needed God to grow me up, and I need to become a man worth having a good wife.
That's
so
exactly right.
I refused to be in the same room with a female by themselves for the first 18 months of my recovery. Mm-hmm. Like, I just did that because I was that serious about doing it, because I know the devil, his trickish ways. He's done it before to me. Like, I wasn't going to do that. And I prayed, over that, and I stood on that. Like, I'm not rushing. I'm not trying to go on, like, I didn't go on dates. I didn't do any of those things because I believed that God would
provide.
I believe he would provide, and he did. Like, he gave me the most godly wife that I've ever, like, I fell in love with her because of the way she worships. And I know we're not supposed to watch other people worship, but there was just nothing, and I've never seen something prettier and more attractive and more beautiful than the way that she worshiped God, and I was like, I just knew, when I saw that, I was like, God, I know this is the one. And I ended up marrying her. And I'm so thankful for that. But like, there's nothing more attractive than somebody that's just really worshiping God and all their essence, just pouring it out to God.
Yeah. Revelation for everybody, I guess, watching, I've been clean for going on 8 years. Okay. I've been in ministry for that whole time. And just like you just said, and that's the reason I'm bringing it up, I didn't step out and get in any relationships at all. I basically just poured into my guys at the ministry. That was my whole life, and finally, I've just started my first real relationship in 8 years, man.
Congratulations.
And this time it's not with somebody who was ever a drug addict. Like, you would have never imagined me personally. The lady who I'm talking to is beautiful. Not only is she beautiful, she's smart. She's a school teacher. She plays piano in the church, has her whole life. And just to think what the Lord had for me that whole time that I was running to the things that were destroying me, right? I mean, all the relationships in my life were toxic, man. I mean, absolute horrific, drug addicts were, running the streets. And just to know that the whole time the Lord had something waiting for me that was that was beautiful and that was good. And
exceedingly and abundantly better than anything you could have done.
I was drinking toilet water and he had living water for me the whole time.
That's right,
You know,
that's right.
Ephesians 3:20.
Right.
Hey, we've noticed what causes people relapse is those relationships. And I've tried to bridge the gap between like the recovery world and the church, because we use the word relapse. Well, in the church, that's backslide.
Yeah, that's right.
But we talk about how these relationships cause our people to relapse. But in the church, the number one strain on people's relationships.
Yeah.
And the only thing, when they have a bad relationship, they don't go buy meth and burn a house down. You know,
We do.
they do other things, but for some reason, I think that, and I get it. Sometimes I feel like I'm a hypocrite, because I am going to go home with my wife, and I am going to be able to, have that. And you're telling people, wait. But I think a lot of times people in recovery think that, all right, now I got Jesus and I'm not doing dope. So now if I can just find a woman or a man, if it's a woman, then I'll be happy and I'll be content. But that's not what makes you happy.
Scott, there's nothing quite like realizing that it was the mothballs that were in your gas tank that was keeping it from cranking to make you realize you made a terrible relationship decision.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think for me, like I had to learn my first love, because I could have went out and went and found me some female to shack up with. That's what I wanted to do.
Absolutely.
But I knew where that was going to lead.
Yeah.
The only thing that was going to lead to sustainable change for me was Jesus Christ. Like that was, if I didn't develop that relationship with him
The only
early on,
relationship that matters.
that's right. If I didn't develop that early on, like it didn't matter what kind of person he sent my way, because I was going to mess it up.
Man, either she was going to drag me down or I was going to destroy her.
That's right.
One of the
That's
two.
right.
So the contents of this book talking about relationships, without running your book, because we want it to sell 1 million copies, but what are some of the principles you've going to cover on relationships? And
What I just said, seeking God first, like developing that relationship with Jesus Christ first, like that's always got to be your first love. And if it's not, then you're going to lose whatever it is that you got.
Yeah.
But if your house is in order, and if that's in order, if your priorities are right, and you're going to please God and trust Him with everything, like trust Him with the relationships, the jobs, all those things, He's going to put somebody in your life, and your focus is still going to be on God, and because your focus is on Jesus, like you're going to be able to love her.
That's right.
Because until then you can't love.
That's right.
You can't love another human being.
That's right.
Until you learn to love Jesus Christ with all that you got and love yourself, like there's no way that you're going to love another human.
That's exactly right, man.
Matthew 6:33.
That's right.
In practice, I know we say that, seek you first the kingdom and He'll add all things, but it's harder to live that out. But that really is what
He said in Proverbs, that a man builds a house, but it is the Lord who is the builder of everything.
That's right.
And I mean, we can go with our hands and we can do the work that it takes to gain a relationship. We can do all that. But unless it was the Lord that actually built it, then it's not. It has no sustainability. It's never going to make it ever.
But I'm gonna tell you, so like I don't want to be a hypocrite either. Like me and my wife have a great relationship. Like great, we love each other. Like we both worship together. Like we both have God as our. But even still, like we're gonna have struggles. You're gonna have arguments.
Absolutely.
You're gonna have those things. And so like, and then some days I fail. Lots of days I fail sometimes of loving her the way that Christ loved me.
Absolutely.
And I think that's one of the other things that the book's going to talk about. Like we are going to fail in that. We're going to come up short because we're humans. We're going to come up short, and it's not the end of the world. But if you can treat her the way that Christ treats you, how can you go wrong?
How can you fail?
How can you fail?
and relationships. And I think that's one reason. And y'all both know, how many people have y'all met that coming out of recovery and they're in,
Crash.
and then they crash. That
No helmet, man.
that 2 weeks they were together is the best thing that
right.
ever. But I think relationships reflect who you are. Because I know, like last week, me and Chastity had. I don't know if Chastity. I hope you're not listening. But anyway,
She is.
it's my fault. But we, I don't know if you want to call it an argument or a bump in the road, whatever. But
What exactly? No, I'm just joking.
yeah.
Just joking.
She threw that frying pan at me. No, but when I had some time to reflect on it, it really was my fault because I was, because if you're feeling insecure or whatever, and you're looking for a person, having the bad week, this happened, whatever, and I'm thinking, because I remember telling her, I said, hey, you used to call me more than you're calling me. What's up with that? You hadn't called, did you not feel? But it's really because what I was going through, but that in relationships, projectile. And I think a lot of times people in recovery or whatever, they just think that relationship's going to make everything perfect, but you don't realize you're bringing in, like you said, your baggage, their baggage, man. All these other things. So you have to really work through that.
I don't know how many drug addicts you've ever met, but most of them have trust issues. Most of us have trust issues. So, like, trying to go into a relationship, even though you've got your wholeheartedly, like, you love this person, you want, like, those trust issues are something that you got to work on almost daily, and that is a hard thing
especially
in a relationship.
After you've been a drug addict and you've lived through all that. That's what's so hard, is because, man, those thoughts in the back of your mind still raise their head, man, and it's what you do with those thoughts that matter. John Bevere wrote a book called Honor's Reward, and he talks about honoring your spouse. And it's to, this section was to men and women, not to either gender by itself. And he said, whenever you're angry at your spouse, when you have that argument, that spat, whatever happened, right? When you're out there and you're stomping the ground and you're mad and all this, he said, take a piece of paper and start to write down 10 things that you love about them. And I guarantee you, by the time you hit number 4, that anger is gone, because you start to realize that the little thing that just came up pales in comparison to the things that drew you to them.
That's right.
And I mean, that's an amazing, and I actually do that,
That's good. And but even people that have not been in addiction, think about how many people, especially in our culture, there's so many broken families and people.
What took you so long at the grocery store?
People have been wounded by their families, and and then you're bringing that into, the rejection you face or the wounds and all that. Yeah. And then I know.
If you're a drug addict, you have been cheated on, my man. That's what it is.
And you probably have been the cheater.
You've been the cheater.
So you're thinking, I know. We bring up David Dillmore again, but he and I were talking one time about we have an acquaintance, and this guy's always thinking somebody's trying to get over on him. He's always, Damon he's charging me 50 cents more than what he did. And David said, but that guy really, he's the guy that gets over on everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we got to thinking about that a lot of people, the things that we're worried about other people, like you said, you're worried about your wife cheating on you and you've been a cheater, it's probably because you've failed in that area. But again, you're bringing all that in, and without discipleship and working through that,
it's tough.
Well, in sociology, it talks about the with your brain. Let's just say it this way. I'm not going to bring that into it, but with your brain, you ever notice that sometimes you'll see somebody out the corner of your eye, but then you realize it's actually a broom? See, your brain paints. You don't actually see what you're looking at. Your brain paints it, and your brain will automatically assume what it is before it actually knows. And then when you realize your brain says, "Oh, hold on a second, that's actually that." And for me, who's been through those horrible relationships, and Scott, my ex-fiance, the last woman who I was ever with in my life, hung herself, man. She killed herself. And for people like us, it's very easy for our brain to paint what we think is there.
Right.
We're trying to foreshadow. We want to see it before it's there, before we realize what's actually going on. And a lot of times we'll allow that foreshadow, what we thought we saw, to overwhelm us and never actually see what was actually
what the devil projects.
Yeah, absolutely.
Every time I did this, there's always a lot of old Milwaukee involved too. But when
you drank old Milwaukee?
Times were tough. So you probably only remember Milwaukee's best.
How do I remember it? I remember drinking them hot out the back of the truck.
I remember when I was probably 15 or 16, but a buddy of mine, we was hunting and walking through the woods, and he said, "Don't look behind you." I'm like, and then he said, "Don't look behind you. There's somebody following us." And we did that, and then he stopped and he said, "Scott, that's the guy behind. Look behind you." And I looked, and there was a guy behind us, but what it was a tree.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, like I said, there was always some alcohol, but I did that 100 times. I'd be whoever I was with, I'd say, "Hey, do you know that guy?" And you could point it, but because you put that in their mind, that's what they saw. And the devil does that every day.
To the meth addict, for certain, man, shadows take on human form, man.
Yeah. Well, think about it. even going back to Genesis, he made that fruit look like something that wasn't.
Yeah.
Right.
And did God really say and all that? So that's what he's good at. So
Twisting scripture. And,
You got that right.
Trey, you have a what's the right word? You got a lot of wisdom about you. You got I really feel like I don't know what your plans are in life besides continue this, but I think God may have something bigger for you than you even anticipate. But definitely in the recovery world, because I appreciate the fact that you stand on God's word, and that's what saves you, but also all the practical stuff and all the tools. Hey, when we started this podcast, that's what me and Damon talked about. Had a kind of a vision of a tool belt,
Heart to heart.
yeah, had a vision of a tool belt and all the different tools. And today you may need a screwdriver and I may need a hammer, but we just want to give people tools in their tool belt, and they may not need them, but they may in certain things. I think you do that really well, is giving people tools for their tool belt. So tell us a little bit. I know you was talking about your wife and what does she do? And
well, so we both used to work at Belmont Gardens Recovery Center. We both left back in maybe September, October of last year. And this is just God working like in that. She was getting probably frustrated, probably some working with me. That was probably tough for her. That was because I can be very opinionated, Damon. I mean, especially when it comes to recovery stuff.
Yeah,
And like, there's two different sides of, like, some people go through faith-based recovery and like maybe faith-based rehabs, and they want to love you to death. They want, because that, and then there's a place for that, like that helps people. Then I came from like structure, like we need to do this, we need to do this, we need to do that. There's a place for that too. We both love people the same way. But they're just two different schools of thought. Well, we both left there. I took the job at the state hospital. She went into hair full time. Anyway, so now she just recently is back running Belmont.
okay,
Just went back there trying to help get that place back in order. And she's got the most serving heart that I've ever met. Like, she loves people. Like, I could not love the people the way that she does. Like, I don't. She'll light up a room. With
That some people have that gift, man,
Yes,
and others
yes,
don't.
Yes.
and it takes all kinds.
It does,
And the
that's
body
right,
talks
that's right.
about. I mean, the body. The Bible talks about the body. How we all need those different kinds. And
But she is also, just a shout out to everybody that's on all these platforms, she does still cut hair, and you can look her up on Facebook. She does a great job on hair. She will pray over you when you're getting your hair
that's so
cut.
good. Where does she cut
What's
hair?
that? What's
works-
that Facebook?
Kelly White. She works at Beautiful Delivers at their little hair, cutting up hair salon right there
Okay.
at the ministry there. Lisa Cap's out there. They do some amazing things.
You, Damon. He's
No,
so
Kelly with the eye.
Kelly with an eye. Damon's good. He'll pull all that up and find it. Maybe if you're in the
Yes, sir.
Vicksburg area, you can go get a haircut.
Get prayed over.
I think that's so cool. I had an acquaintance one time. We was on a mission trip, and she was a masseuse, and I've never had a massage in my life, so I don't know. But anyway, she was telling me about it and how you have to go to school to be. You
Right.
just can't. Anyway, she was talking about all of it. And then she got to telling me about how she prays for the people. She does that too, and how she's intentional, and how it's really a ministry for her to. So
And she does. She's one of the few, like, I know for a fact, she prays over every single person that sits in those chairs. And they're not just like, okay, God, help her have a good day. Like, she really prays into her.
I wish she can get my hair looking like that.
We get you, bud. I got.
Yeah.
Hey,
She does do extensions.
we'll get you some cornrows in there, bud.
That's right.
So
And y'all be praying for me too going forward. Like, I know, not just in what I do, but that's also God's working on my heart on some things. Like, I know that God called me into the ministry, and I can try to pigeonhole that into, well, I'm walking in my ministry now by getting to give back to people that are, who've been through the things that I've been through, and maybe that's it, and that's fine if that's it. But there may be more to that, and I just working on that, man.
You guys, can we squeeze in a couple comments? We have a bunch
Absolutely.
of them. We're not going to read that one because that one's an absolute disaster.
well, hey, let me.
You want to read it?
No, I don't, but I know.
Read it, Scott.
I feel so bad because people are all the time.
You want me to put on text to talk,
matter
and
of fact,
it'll just say it?
I won't say his name. I had a guy from Warren County Jail, and I called Joey. I said, Joey, you know this guy? And anyway, really heartfelt letter, And then at the end, he says, can you send me $10 a week for stamps? And then
Well,
And
this person here needs help with devastating mind and tears, writing and begging you in the name of Almighty God, the Lord, with broken and bleeding heart, that you would kindly please give the sum of 13,800. Scott, you got
that's
that?
it.
Yeah.
You,
You got
want
that?
that check or PayPal or whatever?
And if you want to call them, you can call them in
ADD
whatever
bad.
country
We're
that
talking
is.
about
Okay.
PayPal. I got a text this morning on my way to jail, and $980. So I sent it to Chastity, and it said, "Hey, my PayPal." She says, "You don't even have PayPal." And I said, "Oh, okay, never mind." Yeah,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was a scam, bud.
yeah,
That's
that's what she said. You
Go
don't even
get
have
your
PayPal,
refund,
but-
son. We'll get you
but
took down through there.
We get asked all the time, and Trey, I know you're the same way. We won't help as many people as we can, but unfortunately, it is what it is.
That's
but
right.
I do know that, like I had people call, and we got resources. Like if you need food, you can call me today, and I can pretty much get you some food today,
Some bread and bologna
and
anyway.
some clothes and some things like that. But unfortunately, if you're 3 months behind on your light bill, or you need a car, and I don't know any ministries that really do that either. Do you?
Well,
give
no,
out-
I mean, because, and here's the reason. Listen, it is what it is. There's a difference between helping people and enabling people, right?
Right.
And you've got to have, see, we were talking about the different forms of the way people are in ministry. I love those guys. Some guys love me like nobody, like you wouldn't believe them guys love me. But I never let them escape accountability. I'm not the guy, when it comes to that, I'm not the guy they come to, because they know I'm going to be like, hold on a second, dog. Let's sit down and figure it out. You know, what happened? You know, and I think a lot of times people try to use the "you're a Christian" card, like the individual who's on there from wherever that place was, to say, oh, well, you're a Christian, you're supposed to give me everything you've got, whenever in fact that's just not the case.
Right.
You know, I had a great friend of mine, and he left the ministry and he went to work, and he's supposed to be going on a tugboat and this, that, and the other. And a couple of weeks later, he called me up and texted me, and he said, "Hey man, can you send me like $50?" And I was like, "What's going on?" He's like, "Well, I'm on the boat and we need to get some food." And I'm like, "You're on the boat and you need to get food?" Wait a minute, bro. I've been on a boat
Yeah.
my whole young life, man. If you're on a boat, you don't need any food.
You're eating good.
You're getting fat, bro. You're about to be fat. And, and I told him no, and he was mad at me, man. He was mad at me. Well, a week later, man, his brother was looking for him because they couldn't find him nowhere. They ended up identifying his body by his tattoos because he had overdosed on fentanyl. You know what I mean? So we've got to be really discerning in who we're giving
And I'm
to.
bad at that. And I know Chastity says, you always make me sound like I'm mean, but God put us together because she's more of a, I would give it
So
to
if
you
they,
without.
if they ask for 65, you're going to say no, she's going to say yes, and y'all meet in the middle.
No,
They
it's
get
the opposite.
26.
I would give them 65, and she'd say, heck no, they can come.
That's what I mean. I said it backwards.
Probably why they butted heads the
I
other
think
day.
he's really, really good.
She's like, put your wallet up. He's ready to give him us
Yeah.
PayPal he don't have.
Matter of fact, I guess it was 2 weeks ago, there was somebody getting out of jail and was going to come live with us for a little while. She said, isn't that something you should probably discuss with me before we? I said, yeah, you're right. But I tell you who's really good is
What?
Andy Bowles.
What, bro?
We had a guy that needed to stay with us a little while. And she said, isn't that something we should discuss before? But anyway, Andy Bowles and Greg Pettigrew are the best because, like, if you call their church, and they help so many people, Scott County, but they're going to help you. But then the next time you're going to go to a budgeting class.
Yeah.
Or the next time you're going to do, all be.
When
but
you leave FOA's main program, the 1-year program, and you move into the Philemon house, the very first thing you're going to do is create a budget. You are going to maintain that budget every single month. I mean, that is one thing that they instill in you there. You're going to maintain that budget. Otherwise, you're going to have to find another place to live.
But that's biblical, and the reason that everybody should do it that way, but it takes time and discipleship. It takes me.
I never went through Philemon, which is why I'm broke. So, okay.
They don't ask me for money no more because when they call and ask me for it, I'm like, yeah, I'll give you. I got you. I'm gonna come pick you up.
Yeah.
And we're gonna come over here and put you on that weed eater. And we're
Yeah,
gonna, like,
yeah,
I mean,
yeah, we got some money.
if you really need it for a bill, you really need it for something,
Yeah.
you're gonna do anything. That's fine.
You got that right.
Most of them are like, no, I'll be all right. I'm good. Okay.
I said $1.
Yeah.
Get him a sandwich.
But I know we even, like all things you, especially because we work with the trustees, we'll try to help them find a place to live and help them get started. But then that got out. Well, you get calls from all over the state.
Yeah.
Hey, we heard you
Yeah.
provide
Yeah.
houses. Like, no.
Yeah. And then they want you to do all the work.
Yeah.
They'll call me. Can you please get me in rehab? I said, well, here's the guy's number. Call him.
call
They got it open and call them and get them in. No, can't you just do it?
No.
Yeah.
No.
This is my one of my favorite. Hey, I need a job. Okay, right now there's a lot of people hired. Then there's like, well, can you pick me up in the morning? I'm like, no, I can't pick you up in the morning. Well, I don't have a car. Well, we probably should get you a car before we get you a job because I can't take you back and forth to work. Well, when can you get me that car? And I'm like, so anyway.
And I really need a truck, not
Never,
a car.
Yeah.
never use the word we.
Yeah.
So you use the word we. You got to change we to you. You got to get you a car.
But yeah, look, if you need help getting in a rehab, we can do that
Yeah,
today.
man.
If you need help with food or clothes,
yes.
we can do that. But other things, I don't know. And like I
I'm
said,
not
I
big
don't know
on
other
handing you cash.
ministries. There used to be a guy in Jackson that, and I can't remember the name of it, but he literally, the Lord had blessed him, and he was a benevolent ministry. So people would come to him, and he would pray about it and try to help them. But he had the money to pay a month rent or a car note, and I'm not sure how he did it, but and I'm not sure if he's still in ministry, but I thought that was cool. But unfortunately, God hadn't blessed us that. But we got to chase all kinds of rabbits. We started out. What comments did you?
I'll tell you this. This is how I get them when they come and ask me for money. Whenever I'm like out there in Jackson somewhere, man, I see them walking toward me, man, as they get close. Like, man, let me get a cigarette, dog. Yeah, I get them first. I'm like, you got 25 cents?
Hey, I tell you how I messed up, because I mess up every day, and I won't say his name, but I had a guy that asked me for some money, but we have a relationship, so I sent it to him. He was going to come do this. I said, man, don't worry about it. Well, anyway, he sent it back to me pretty quick, and about a week later, it was a little bit more.
Yeah.
I thought, wow. And I don't know. I called Chassie because I don't know how to do any of that.
$1,500.
So anyway, I sent him some more. He sent it back, and he when he worked. So that happened a couple of times. He asked me for
Significant sum.
I said, Chastity, do we have such and such? She said she sent it. So I asked Damien. I said, hey, have you heard from such and such in a while? And I knew in my spirit something ain't right about it, but I was just being carnal instead of listening to the Lord.
I was like,
And
yeah.
I asked Damien, I said, y'all, have you heard from such and such? And he said, yeah, we just had a meeting. He's going around. He's back on crack. He's going around asking everybody for money. So I just got that guy. I just bought him a bunch of cracks what it boiled down to.
You
I mean,
did.
really. And it was and I knew, but, that whole.
I got to tell you this, though, man. Just where this is concerned, I know I made a lot of jokes about it because honestly, it's kind of funny. There are parts of me that just won't die. It's kind of hilarious. It's kind of hilarious to ask the homeless guy for money first. You know what I mean? But anyway, sometimes the Lord puts on my heart so heavy to hand the random guy at the red light money that I have to do it. I have to give him the money. And I'll sit there and I'll be like, oh, and I've got $30 in my pocket and I'll hand him the $30, And this is the reality, Scott, and I'm saying this because of what you just said. When the Lord puts it on your heart to do something, it doesn't matter what he does, man.
That's right.
It don't matter if he goes and buys crack. It don't matter if he takes it and feeds an orphanage. It doesn't matter which way he goes with it. You have fulfilled what the Lord gave you to do. And the rest is beside the point.
And I can almost say 1% of my time when I've listened to the Lord, even when it didn't make sense, I knew it. But like on our deal, we're talking about, I knew I wasn't supposed to do that, but I did it anyway.
Yeah.
Whether you want to say it, I didn't want him to be upset with me or people play. I don't know what my
He's a
sin
great
was.
guy.
But I'm like you. If God tells you to do it, do it.
You do it.
Regardless.
You do it.
Of
It don't
what.
matter. You can't make everyone else's decisions. The only thing you can do is do what the Lord asks you.
But and y'all, because I know we've all struggled with different addiction, but
Yours was oatmeal waffle.
especially especially when we're
addiction,
going through bad times or people like you'll see people in recovery. They'll say, I asked for 20 people for this and 20 churches, none of them helped me. None of them, they're fake Christians. But I always want to say, have you given to any of those churches?
No.
Like, have you supported them? And I've heard this about ministries, like I had somebody tell me one time that, I went to 17 rehabs, but they were all fake because when I got locked up, they didn't write me. I'm like, bro, that they got 100 people.
Yeah.
Have you ever wrote them and told them thank you for allowing me in your program? So there's something about when we're broken and in need.
When I was
we
at
get
FOA,
we get selfish.
we keep numbers, right? So every time the next person comes in, that's a new number, and it goes into our files, right? We're before I left, which was over a year ago, we were at 11,000.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So, and what's odd, let me tell you what's odd about that. There'll be people who I never met, even in my 5 or 6 years that I was there, right? Who will call in, and I'll oh, well, he's a repeater, and I'll mention the name to Aaron or Mike, and they'll be like, oh yeah, well, how's he been doing? You know, and it's like, man, this dude ain't been there in 20 years, 15 years, you know, and that's amazing that they do actually remember them. But the reality is, man, when you're doing that type of work, you don't have time to deal with all
When
that.
you got 90 more guys
Right.
who come in broken in these, but it seems like I said, when we're broken, we think of us. We don't think about other people. So anyway, we went 20 minutes from answering the comments. So what?
Well, don't
That's
get
how we
scared
got
of it.
started.
Scott, don't
What
be afraid of it,
comments did you
son,
wanna
huh? Conversation's a good thing,
Get back
Scott. Walter.
all the rabbits we chase.
Okay, Tina said she's not a runner, but she has always loved to cut the grass with a push mower. The hum of the mower drowns out the noise around you, and she could just pray uninterrupted. While in different ways, we all different ways to find a way to remove the distractions of the world and find what works for you. And you know what, Tina, you are absolutely right. There's nothing to me better than sitting on that zero turn, man. I get some of my best thinking in the world done sitting on that zero turn
I
or
need
running
to-
that weed eater. I really do.
Last time I cut grass, I was listening to Total Eclipse of the Heart. So maybe I need to
What's the Bible verse about committing your ways to the Lord? And
Proverbs
yeah,
3, 5, and
Yeah,
6.
yeah.
Whatever
In all
you
your
do,
ways
do it all
acknowledge
unto
him.
the-
Yep. And he shall direct thy path. You know, I did something else too earlier that when we were talking, man, and I took sociology. Well, I didn't take it. I learned it. I was in prison for many, many years. And I studied psychology and sociology. And this is something that really helped me, and maybe it'll help somebody else. I don't know. But I learned about the ego states and what's called the generalized other. Okay, there are many egos. We're not going to go into that, but the generalized other is the main one I want to talk about. And the generalized other is how you think other people think of you. Mm-hmm. It's in your mind. It's whenever you go to do something and it says, well, if you do this, they will think. Mm-hmm. They will see. They will say, right? And that generalized other kind of directs you in how you live your life. And I learned a long time ago when I was in prison to replace my generalized other with Jesus. Right. And I tried to use biblical principles. And the more I did that, I found myself even talking to myself in my head saying, yes, Lord. Yes, sir. I understand, Lord. And I've got to tell you something, man. That completely changed the way I saw things over a period of time.
Without knowing those terms, if you're, and I hate to say public speaking, but when you're sharing your testimony, if you don't do that, because when you speak and 20 people come to the altar, you'll think, man, that's really good. And when you speak,
right,
and people are falling asleep or nobody, you'll feel like you did, what's wrong with me?
It has nothing to do with you whatsoever.
It is a terrible
audience of one, right?
roller coaster, man.
It has nothing to do with you.
Right.
All right, Damon, what's the other?
Total eclipse of the heart.
Turn around by the eyes.
Don't cry.
After I left Juilliard, I said I wasn't going to sing anymore.
Tina said, absolutely. You attract what you put out there. Who you are and what you stand for truly matters.
Amen.
When McLean said, wait on the Lord. That's when we were discussing relationships a long time ago, Scott, before you chased a bunch of rabbits.
Yep.
I'm just joking. It was me. Tina Newton said, you have to find someone who can love you even when they may not like how you are behaving in the moment. It takes both people in a relationship to choose each other every day, and God must be at the center of it all. Good. Very wise words of wisdom there. And Gwen McLean said, "Ooh, yeah."
What'd she say?
Ooh, yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. Hold on. Let's get that man a round of applause, baby. Yeah. I deserved it. Okay, so Gwen said she loves Kelly. Tina again said, teach a man to fish. We are not here to fund every aspect of people's lives. We are planters of seeds, and God is the gardener. Another
Good. And I
very wise
appreciate
word of wisdom.
Andy Bowles and Greg Pettigrew and those that do that, that. And again, the reason we don't is takes this discipleship. Discipleship's hard.
It is. It is. And Tina said, I have never had to ask anyone for a dime since I've been seeking God and serving him.
Amen to that.
And Gwen said, use discernment, Scott Walters.
When I'm discerning, send me $13,800. Send it to Chastity because I don't have PayPal or WhatsApp or whatever.
You do have PayPal. The scammer told you did, son. He needs to give you a refund, son. He gave you too much.
Oh, that's right.
Okay, there we go. That's comments out of the way.
Oh, let me see. I have to put on my old man.
This ain't no time to be watching TikTok.
I was only. But what's crazy is it was for $499.99 for some Bitcoin.
Don't ever talk to them people ever.
But anyway,
I had to stop Mr. Mike from doing that yesterday. A thing popped up on their computer screen that said your IP's been revealed. Call this number. Yeah, don't ever call that number, man. That's a scammer. He's got you.
Well, I never call, but on all that stuff, because Chastity orders something all the time. I was like, hey, did we order a 72-inch big screen television from Amazon Prime? No, scammer. So, well, Gwen says she loves us too. Well, I'm glad because I was beginning to feel like she just loved Kelly White and not the rest of us.
Yeah, she did kind of throw us under the bus with the Kelly White thing, didn't she?
So, Trey, what you got next on the agenda? Anything coming up?
No, me and Kelly are supposed to be going to Gateway, and we're gonna do. She's gonna give free haircuts, and I'm gonna do a step study with them. So
Amen.
I think that's coming up in about 3 weeks. So
absolutely awesome.
That's about it, really. I got vacation coming up, but you ain't trying to hear about it.
Gotta love old Brad
Where
Hancock.
y'all going?
We're gonna go to Destin.
Fine.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Tina says, Scott, you pulled out your glasses, son. Slow down.
He can't do the AI. Make them remove that like you do everybody else. He makes everybody else look all young and muscular and makes me look old. Hey, just coming up. And by the way, and y'all have heard Trey. Thank you for coming, man. That was really
thanks for
good.
coming, man.
I think it's one of our better episodes.
I think it's doing all right.
Really good. And there's a lot of good wisdom. So if you're in charge of a recovery group and you got an official peer support specialist, you got somebody. 10-time convicted felon. Now he's working for the state of Mississippi. Man, that's a testimony.
It is a testimony.
I'd encourage you to get Trey to come share it. He shared for us not long ago at one of our Celebrate Recoveries. So I encourage you to do that and reach out to him. And
one more time, let's just go back over here, you guys. Let's get rid of that. So you come over here to Amazon and you just simply put in Trey White Meth Marathons. Use the 2, not the letters TWO, but the number 2, and it will pop right up for you, man. You guys go over there and get it. And listen, if you're watching right now and you want to get it right now, look, just look in the description and also in the comments. It's down in the comments as well. Y'all click that link. Go over there, get this book, help support a brother, man. Help support a brother who has given his life to the Lord and who is still working every day to help others in the Lord. So it's the least we can do. Amen. Plus, the book's a great book. Yep. You guys check it out.
You can buy 100 of them, and we'll make sure that they get into the jails that allow us to give them out. So
don't send it to Scott's PayPal with Bitcoin. That's all I'm saying.
That's actually where all the proceeds are going right now. Is I'm trying to buy up enough books to get into the jails or the prison systems.
Mm-hmm. How cool would it be to be blessed like Rodney Williams? He's able to do that. I think that is
there's not a person in prison in America that hadn't read that book, man.
Right. Rodney's coming to be here in October. So, hey, just a little shameless plug here. On September the 19th, we're having a Night of Hope ministry fair, recovery fest, the whole 9 yards. It's basically a pep rally for Jesus. But y'all help me out on the ministry fair. It's at the Brandon Civic Center, and all it is a table set up for ministries, nonprofits. Like if Trey's there, we don't care if Trey sells his books or like Teen Challenge, their merchandise, but it's not a vendor,
right?
Like,
right.
You know,
it's not a vendor.
Aflac's not going to be there, or or, and I hope that doesn't hurt anybody's feelings, but, we're not having,
You think it would hurt someone's feelings that Aflac wouldn't be there?
yeah,
That's an
but
odd
I've had
thing.
people reach out and, hey, I'm this or that, or,
If you got puppies, you can't take them
Yeah.
and give them away. I've asked.
yeah. You're not going to have the Coast Guard recruit. Not that we're against the Coast Guard, but it's really for ministries and nonprofits. And I have failed at this when I first felt like the Lord gave me this vision. My idea was for the churches to come in and meet all these ministries and see how they could get plugged in, or like how they could support. But anyway,
You'd be really amazed when you have multiple ministries, how each can supply for the other. Right. And that's how it was in the early days of the church, right? These people had, these people didn't have, they would share what they had with one another. And you'd be amazed. I think a lot of times we would be absolutely amazed if we took the time to talk to people who may have in abundance what you are lacking, and you may have in abundance what they are lacking, and you can come together. And the main thing is to spread the gospel to all the nations. We create disciples and spread the gospel. And any way that we can come together and work together in that plan, I think is great. And the ministry fair is a perfect place for you guys to come down there. And let's do it.
because your church group, they may not be interested
It's
in
also
going.
a night of hope, isn't it?
Yep, Night of Hope, the whole thing all combined. So your church group may not be interested in going to Mexico. That may not be your passion, but you may have a passion for gardening,
New
and you
Mexico.
get with Restoration Ministries and help them with their gardening. Or you may have kids that can do hygiene packs for a Teen Challenge or Saving Grace or Care Center. But anyway, we got and I've dropped the ball on this, but here's some of the all things new that will be there at the ministry fair. Care Center, Dying to Live, Restoring the Broken, Beautifully Mended with Tank Gilbert, CPC, Metro, Crossroads Ministries, Swag Ministries, Partners in the Gospel, CR at Byram, Mercy House Adult Teen Challenge, Blessing Ministries of Mississippi, the Ladder House, Scott County Jail Ministry, the Peace House, Walking in Freedom, Senda de Vida, the Point Celebrate Recovery, Rankin County Jail Ministry, Encounter Community Counseling, Church of the King, Celebrate Recovery, Sustaining Grace, Hope Dealers, Christ Risen. I don't know if y'all heard this pretty cool guy named Damon Donald, but Power Digital Media will be there. So you can talk to him about doing podcasts.
Giving away puppies.
Yeah.
I'll be there.
If you want to do a podcast, your website, ministry, promotional stuff, he'll be there to talk to you about that.
Talented.
U-Turn, Restoration Ministries, Peacemakers, Urco, Redeemer Fellowship, Saving Grace, Club Meth to Christ, Mind Well, Warhouse
Goodness
Ministries,
gracious.
Hellfighters, Pearson Foundation, Indeed and Truth, the Off 61 Band, that's Stephen King.
Yeah.
The One Project, and Buried Treasures. But last year, that's 40 that we had confirmed. But last year we had more than that. I've dropped the ball. But if you have a nonprofit recovery group, a ministry, like Stephen, he's going to be there to kind of promote his band, let you know what his band can do coming into your church or your jail, the lead his unique style of ministry. And
Tina Freeman
music.
Newton said Black Sheep Recovery Warfare will be there, and you left them out. And
Well,
she's not happy about that,
Tell
Scott.
Tina, John has not, but I will put y'all down officially. But I text John and he didn't respond, but I knew they would be there. But I will definitely put you down, Miss Tina and Black Sheep. What was it, an applause?
Yeah, it was an applause, all right.
And y'all make sure go on Amazon and y'all help Trey out, buy these books. I have not read this, but this is going to be the next book I read. And again, if you need somebody to come to your group and speak or share, feel free to shout out at Trey. You can find them on I guess.
Also, his Facebook is also linked in the description. Just go down there. You'll see the name Trey White right in the description, right under where his book is. You guys click on that, man. Y'all go like, follow, subscribe if there's an opportunity to do that for Trey, as well as don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe on this post right here. If you guys enjoyed this conversation, think about how many people out there on your friends list, let's personalize it, on your friends list, who may need to hear something that was said today. They can't do that unless you share it. So every time you share it, it goes out to your friends. And if they share it, it goes out to their friends. And let's set a fire under this thing, right? Love you guys. Come on, let's get it done.
Yeah, get it done. September 19th, Ministry Fair from 2 to 4, and the Night of Hope. Hey, we're asking, everything is free, but we're asking people to bring a toy to help support Operation Family Blessing, and also the recovery groups that come in.
That needs to be a new toy as well.
That's right.
It can't just be something
a
you
new
brought from your house.
But for the recovery group, say if Belmont Gardens is able to come, we try to buy their meal for them. We have a concession stand set up. And so anyway, if you want to help with that, you reach out to Aubrey Bridge, and then the Eddie Poole is going to be doing the worship. It's always good. And then Lacey Awabdi and David Dillmore are going to be speaking. So you want to come and hear that. So just a big pep rally for Jesus. And then one more shameless plug. Send me some Bitcoins. I need that on my
your PayPal.
$499.99. But next week we have Amanda Massey talking about CPC Metro. She's works for them, and she's going to be here with us. And then August the 4th is Kobe Boyd. August 11th is Dean Sykes. August the 25th, we got Kelvin Smith, a.k.a. Dog. So that's going to be a lot of fun. I literally have known him my whole life.
The bounty hunter.
And then, Dog the Bounty Hunter. And then September 15th, we got Eddie Poole. And October 27th, Rodney Williams from Club Meth to Christ. And we'll have some other dates filled in. So y'all join us live every Tuesday.
Tina said the skit crew will also be performing.
They will.
So you forgot to mention that too, Scott. Yeah. Listen, Tina's had enough of you today.
I know.
We're not going to keep putting up with
me on track. I know it ain't hard to keep John on track. I need you to keep me on track. So
it ain't hard to keep John on track. Are you correct?
So the skit crew will be there as well. And Eddie's kind of in charge of how the worship and the speakers and the skit crew, but it all meshed together well. So anyway, so that's my shameless plugs, the podcast, y'all.
Tina's got her hands full with John, just like it would be with me.
Every Tuesday 11 on Facebook, YouTube. What's the other two that's live?
We've been doing this for like a year and a half, and Scott's like, "Yeah, you're gonna be on that."
Is it Switch and Stumble?
Be over there on the
is that what's called?
MySpace. He'll be like every week on MySpace.
Yeah.
Like,
what is it? Switch and Rumble.
Twitch and Rumble. Yes,
I guess that's
Kick and Rumble.
Kick and Rumble.
No longer on Twitch.
Just podcast platforms.
I pulled it from Twitch. Yeah.
But the Kick and Rumble, that's just podcast.
Yeah. Kick is mainly a gamer platform, but it has a lot of podcasts, and Rumble is absolutely a podcasting platform. We get a lot of views on Rumble, believe it or not.
Well, I need to get educated. You may have to help me get a Rumble account. I've been rumbling
we'll get you
all my
rumbled
life.
on.
Yeah, we'll get you Rumble. Don't you worry about that.
Well, thank both of y'all for having me on the show. I really appreciate
it. Conversation.
It was a blessing. And there's so much truth, so much wisdom there. So, hey, thank y'all. Y'all like, subscribe, share, all that kind of stuff. Trey, you want to close us out in prayer?
Yes, sir. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you now and we just thank you for this day, Lord. Thank you for this conversation, Lord. Thank you for the fellowship. Thank you for all the things that All Things New does, Lord, and all the ministries and lives that they're touching, Lord. Just thank you for that, and I lift those up to you that are over those things, Lord. I lift up all the people that heard the podcast today, Lord, the ones that are sharing the podcast, Lord, and the people that are hearing it, Lord, that may be lost, Lord. They may be hopeless. Let them hear that there is hope out there, Lord, that you are the way, the truth, and the light, Lord, and that if you want to change your life, it starts and ends with you, Lord, and we thank you for that. We thank you for all that you've done for us. We thank you for the blessings that you've given us, Lord. We thank you for the exceedingly abundantly things that you've done in our lives, Lord. Even if you do nothing else, Lord, we have every reason to lay down our life and thank you, Lord,
Amen,
for all that you've done. In your name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. All right, guys. Again, we thank you so much for being here, especially for you guys who are here with us every single week. Tina and Gwen and just a bunch of you guys who are always with us, man. We truly appreciate it. It really means a lot to us just to know that you're going to be there, and we love y'all. And until we see y'all next week, man, y'all stay prayed up.